Welcome to the Orange County Forum, where newsmakers keep you informed about local, national, and global issues that impact Orange County today.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks to the Orange County Forum for putting on this luncheon. We have a great guest with us today, and they have asked me to introduce him. And, you know, back in the day, I played ball for the Los Angeles Rams. I was the quarterback. So I guess it is fitting for me to introduce today's guest. I mean, if you just look at his lapel, you would know why, okay? You know, playing ball back then, being with the Los Angeles Rams, we started out in the Coliseum. And then we moved to a new stadium in Anaheim. And as many of you know, history does repeat itself. The Rams are returning to Los Angeles. They will be playing in the Coliseum until they get ready to move in their new facility in Inglewood. So from everything that I've heard, I'm sure you've heard the same thing, this great stadium is going to be heads above, you know, a baseball stadium with a few more seats in it. So today's guest is the project manager of Wilson Meany, and he is responsible for the overall development of this 298-acre site, which will be the new home for our Los Angeles Rams. And I think that sounds great. You know, this new facility will be state-of-the-art. It will house a home-friendly, fan-friendly, 75,000-seat stadium. And that's just a part of this development. There will be commercial, there will be retail, and there will be 2,500 residential units. So I want to tell Gerard that, you know, I've been the last 30 years selling residential real estate. I'm owner and broker of Ferragamo Luxury Real Estate. Right? So everybody at the office said, make sure you tell Gerard that. We can really be a good asset. But in addition, Gerard will be responsible for, you know, government and public affairs, as well as securing development entitlements for this project. Wow. I'm glad I only had to remember plays and avoiding linebackers, okay? So I would like to, and I'm sure he'd love to tell you more about that. So without further ado, let me introduce Gerard McCallum.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us out here. I'm going to start off a little bit about the vision of what the site is, what you can kind of expect, and then we're going to go over a little bit more detail of actually what we're going to build on site. But just to give you a little bit of context about the site itself, I think most people know where Inglewood is. It's kind of the site of the former Great Western Forum that's now the Chase Forum that Madison Square Garden purchased about 2 years ago, and has transformed that venue into now the #1 concert venue site west of the Mississippi. And it's also the site where the piece of property that we own, the former Hollywood Park Racetrack. And back in the heyday, if many of you have gone to the racetrack, simultaneously the track could run a big meet up to 80,000 people, and the Lakers would be right next door, as Chick Horner would say, with 17,505 running simultaneously. So the site has always been really well known to the Los Angeles region for the most part. And the other thing is that it's always been very accessible. It's 3 freeways accessible to the site, and it has huge infrastructure. Century Boulevard, Prairie Boulevard were all built years ago to accommodate that type of event traffic in and out of the city of Inglewood. And so what we've been able to, and fortunate to be able to do, is actually take that infrastructure and improve upon it. And so things like intelligent traffic systems and some of the more modern techniques of mitigating traffic is some of the things that we're doing now, and it's currently actually under construction now. So don't get off the freeway on Century Boulevard, because it's a little bit of a mess right now. 30 to 60, 90-minute drive. This is something our traffic people put together. That would be at night, in terms of getting around. I'm like, really? But it really speaks of basically how central the location is to Los Angeles County and really to the overall region. And it's really one of the attractive factors that ultimately led us to being awarded the NFL stadium. The other thing that's actually going on, and I think, again, what happened at Hollywood Park was just a convergence of opportunities that were going on simultaneously. And one of them also is that the metro system is coming through, so the Crenshaw line is under construction. It will have 2 stops about 1.5 miles from the site. The MTA board has a proposal before it to actually look at the addition of a last man mile system that will take you directly to the site. But for the most part, what it allows us to do is to augment through shuttles and through bus systems. If you've ever gone to the Hollywood Bowl and caught one of the regional parking sites and went to the Hollywood Bowl by bus, it's actually sometimes faster by bus than it is actually to drive. We're going to do the same type of thing here. And so that infrastructure was in place. We're going to improve upon it, and I think it'll make a better fan experience than some of the other locations that were proposed. These are the streets that pretty much everybody, there's so many different ways to get in and out of the site. And these aren't side streets. These are very robust main arteries in and out of the Hollywood Park site. Again, have improved over the years. The city has a construction project that's taking Century Boulevard with an improvement from the 405 freeway all the way out to the outskirts of the city. And so those will have additional traffic lanes. We're adding in new turn-in lanes. And so we expect the traffic experience to be pretty superior here. The site itself, 298 acres. It's the last urban infill site. Playa Vista was the other one that's pretty much now completely built out. And so this creates a really unique opportunity for us to create something really special in whole cloth. Taking a look at the profile of the community there, Inglewood's kind of a mix. It's mostly a residential community outside of what was the entertainment district before the Lakers went downtown and the horse racing industry sort of dried up there in Inglewood. And so to the east of the site, it's all residential community. To the north of it, the Forum, which most people are familiar with, and to the south, it's a new commercial district that the city's former redevelopment agency actually employed and had some success in actually recreating and rebranding that part of Century Boulevard. To the west of it, it's a kind of a mixed-use hodgepodge. Sentinel Hospital is next to us. The Tommy Lasorda Heart Clinic is right next to us there. But it's a hodgepodge sort of experience going from there to the 405 freeway. And we expect a lot of that to improve, especially when we made the announcement. Actually, when it leaked that Stan purchased the 60 acres, quite a few investors ran in and bought up most of the hodgepodge areas along Century Boulevard. So you could expect a lot of transformation to happen there. If you remember when you used to go to the Forum, you would drive down Century Boulevard, get off the 405 freeway, drive down Century Boulevard, and it would be Forum Dental, Forum Liquor, Forum this. Everything was geared around the Lakers' heyday. And when the Lakers left downtown, so did that economy left that city. And so we're expecting a lot of that to actually come once we actually complete the site. The scale of 298 acres. Most people drove by the track for many years and just saw the parking structure and then just got into the grandstands and never realized that beyond the grandstands there was another training track, and that we housed over 2,000 horses on site, which also meant there were 5,000 people living on the back area of the site, full with an equine hospital and what have you. You just never saw that because the eucalyptus trees just sort of shield it, and all you would see is the track. And so our architects love playing these little games, and so this is Vatican City, that they love showing the size of Vatican City next to the 300 acres. And the point they always want to make is that we could do that twice, or downtown Boston. They have all these, we can go on forever with the comparison. At the end of the day, it's a very large site. The opportunity, we are really going after a 300-acre village experience here. So it's planned in whole cloth. For those of you that are architects and land planners, Hart Howerton did the master land plan on this, so we've used pretty much state-of-the-art architects throughout the entire development. So this was never intended to be sort of just another, you know, urban infill site. It's actually always intended to be a destination site, and now we can augment it with really the sports and entertainment district that's now been awarded to the site. It is Mr. Cronky and our folks at Stockbridge Capital really plan for this to be a premier international destination. That's the charge that's been given to us by the NFL. And so it will be a little bit out of this world. For the stuff that I normally do, I've not seen anything like this, so I'm even impressed myself. The architecture will look like what's happening up in Southern California for the most part. So the Getty Center, a lot of things that Frank Gehry doing, that really smart urban design, lots of curves that sort of everybody says mirrors the coastline of California. It's some of the things that we are going to add so that it feels like a cohesive fabric to the Los Angeles area. Indoor-outdoor experience. If you know anything about the city of Inglewood, you hardly ever need air conditioning. Most of the homes there, just open up a window because you get those ocean breeze. It's very moderate 70s almost all the time. And so we're going to take advantage of that in the designing our retail experience and a lot of the areas associated with the sports and entertainment district. So similar to if you've ever been to the Grove or to 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, where it's an outdoor experience as opposed to an indoor closed mall, everything around the property will be designed around that notion. Special events. The site has always been a special event location. The Forum in its heyday hosted some of the best concerts in the world. It does now. And the track used to, I mean, back in the day, the police used to perform at the racetrack. I mean, it used to be a very robust special event kind of area before everything moved to downtown to the Staples Center. We plan to capture a lot of that back. So a lot of the things that's considered in our design will incorporate the notion of special events. And again, something from everything. As Vince said earlier, it's a cohesive mixed-use development that has everything from housing to hotels to sports and entertainment district. There's something for everybody. If you want to live there, you want to shop there, you want to have a gaming experience there, it's all there on site. To the north of the property here, we've got the Stadium District, a stadium that's entitled up to 80,000 seats. We're going to build about 75,000 seats. For Super Bowl, the stadium can go up to 100,000 seats. Underneath that roof line is a 6,000 seat performance entertainment venue. And what that will do will augment to the north of us the Forum. The Forum can seat up to 18,000 and can go down to 9,000 for events. But for events below that, it's a little too large. And so we're going to be able to build a venue that will go from 6,000 seats down to 1,500 seats. So we'll be able to contain middle market events associated with it as well. And then that roof in between creates a plaza in between both buildings of about 2.1 acres that will be shielded underneath this roof line. So for other events like Combine would actually participate in that open area there. We have 2,500 residents which will be located towards the eastern part of the property, again mirroring what's kind of going on with the existing residential neighborhoods. And so one of the things that when we went for entitling the site the third time for this entertainment venue, we were able to say to our neighbors, hey, you know, you moved in here in the, 50s and 60s and saw kind of a very relaxed racetrack, and now we're going to a big gaming experience. You don't have to have that impact. We're going to build a park, which we're calling Bluff Park, in between, that would augment part of the existing city's Darby Park. And then from there, like residents would be moving in as we build single-family homes closest to those single-family homes. And then we will move west towards the Stadium District with housing that's more dense in nature, more condominiums, more high-density units per acre that you get into the entertainment district. And obviously people moving in, buying into that experience would be the same type of profile of a downtown Los Angeles experience where they want kind of a 24-hour robust sort of living experience. And so we'll gradually make that transition for the residential communities. And to the southern part of the lot, between Century and Prairie, is where our retail center is. Now, before the entitlements and before we added the stadium in, we were going to build about 500,000 square feet. And that was going to be relatively aggressive. Inglewood, for the most part, is a residential community, not a whole lot of office, not a whole lot of industry, small retail, lots of mom and pop businesses, but nothing robust to really support a huge retail district. But 500 square feet is relatively large. What we did find is that in that area, within that capture zone, there wasn't any major retail, so we felt relatively comfortable at the 500,000 square foot level that we could sort of capture what was basically retail leakage going outside to the outside areas. Fast forward, you add a football stadium into the mix. NFL then brings all of its related entities associated, and so it bumps that amount of square footage up to about 890,000 square feet of retail. That's a huge retail center associated with it. And so being the NFL flagship campus, you'll have a lot of those associated businesses, associated retailers with it coming into the retail districts. And so you'll have a very robust, theme-driven sort of retail district as well. We've also added from our original entitlements about 800,000 square feet of office, grade A office, which is, it's a huge plus. You know, one of the things that when you talk with a city like Inglewood, that, you know, through our period of being there for almost 10 years, you know, unemployment had sometimes as high as 18, 19%. Well, if you don't have any businesses or any industry there, there's nothing to employ. So adding 800,000 square feet of office, grade A office, brings professional jobs into the area that supports things beyond the seasonal jobs that are normally associated with the event space. You know, football, 10 games a year, so you have a lot of people working, but they're working part-time, seasonally, just associated to the event. And so adding that type of office, adding the amount of retail, really brings a lot of jobs to the local economy there. And then 300 Key Hotel. That's kind of a starting point for the hotel. One of the nice points about the location is if you go directly down Century Boulevard about 1.5 miles, you'll run into a ton of hotel rooms all associated with the airport. A lot of those hotels, we've built associations with Gateway LA, which they're part of their bid district there, and they're going to be improving those hotels, obviously to be able to capture what will be going on site there, and obviously when we get Super Bowls, that was something that they will want as well. So we're going to start off with a 300 key hotel, probably an NFL signature property, and then we have some conversion factors that allow us to be able to exchange amount of housing for additional hotels if we deem to do that in the future. And then one of my favorite pet peeves, I serve on the Los Angeles Land Trust, and so we're always trying to build parks in a park-poor city like Los Angeles, particularly in the city of Inglewood. We're doing 25 acres of parks. To be exact, 26.1 acres of public park space we're building. That park space will not be on the city's dime. So one of the very attractive things that really helped us with getting this past the city of Inglewood, unlike some of the reports in the newspapers, the city of Inglewood is not bonding or paying a tax in advance for the public infrastructure. So we are actually fronting the bill for all of the public infrastructure. So we'll be building 26.1 acres of park space that will be available to anybody in the community. In addition to that, all the public roads, infrastructure, and everything else that we will be building as well. Caveat is that once the city hits in one given year $25 million in revenue from the site, they could then start to pay back some of that to the developer, but only when they make $25 million. Now, to a city whose general fund is $80 million, $25 million is a huge bump to that local economy. This is going to be it's going to make quite a transition to the economy of the city of Inglewood. So, as you could imagine, you know, the mayor is extremely happy. He can't wait for us to get this thing going. Open framework. Again, having the ability to actually design whole cloth, we didn't have to aggregate different pieces of land. We were sort of blessed with 298 acres. We were able to create a central theme or central framework to the project. And so the hub of that is our lake park district. There's a central lake that sort of then is the spine that feeds to the different districts within this property here. And so if you're at the Forum, you'd be able to walk through a number of paseos and retail streets and wind up in the Lake District. If you're in the residential area, you would be able to walk or jog through the jogging paths that would take you to Lake Park. If you're in the retail district and you want to go up to the sports and entertainment district, you'll be able to connect through a number of parks and paseos associated with it. And by the way, our landscape architect is Mia Lair Associates, who worked a lot down here in the Great Park, as you might, well, so a lot, again, our architects associated with the project are really world-class architects. Land use, I'm not going to go over that. We did that kind of already. Circulation, in addition to the existing street grid that we've put in that's already existing in the city of Inglewood, we're adding an additional robust wide street system as well. Some of that is the requirements for safety reasons in terms of safety zones that the in-depth row requires that are anywhere from 100 feet to 300 feet, depending on the type of game associated with it, and to be able to get people in and out of the site relatively quickly. And so we're building a very robust, open, public street network that would be then dedicated to the city. Design elements. We talked a little bit about the architecture theming of this, but the retail experience, I'm really familiar with the Los Angeles area, so if you go to the 3rd Street Promenade, especially what they did down in the Marketplace and redesigning the Marketplace down there, a lot of the things that are happening out over in the Venice Beach area, Abbot Kinney area, of that walking experience down Abbot Kinney, a lot of that design we're looking to incorporate into the site, and so that it is more than just football, it is actually an experience for people to come from a retail perspective. Open space, again, that 26 acres is part, the things that our Mia Lair is doing with this, we plan for this to be the best park system in the Los Angeles area, and people will just come actually for the park experience in Lake Park. The stadium, we divided the property into a number of precincts, and so right now they're called precincts. Eventually they'll have naming rights associated with it, they're for sale. But right now we're calling the Northern Precinct is where the stadium is. That's really the sports and entertainment district. That creates that hub and that connectivity with the Forum area. And so again, coming down from the Forum will be this unique stadium designed by HKS Architects. And the idea in that design, it's buried into the ground 100 feet. So the profile is relatively low, so it doesn't really overcrowd the existing community. It meets all the requirements for us to get through FAA and everything else that you normally have to do within the city, but it creates a really unique profile and fan experience as well. The northern part of the lot, basically the 60 acres that Stan Kroenke purchased, that area will be transformed. It's currently parking and will be transferred into tailgate parking. And the question that usually comes up, how many parking spaces do we have dedicated to the event? How many parking spaces do we have dedicated to retail, etc.? For the event space, we have 14,000, a little bit over 14,000 parking spaces in that region. Within a mile and a half of the site, there's 44,000 parking spaces. We have more than enough parking, and to be able to connect that with shuttling or whatever, it creates a pretty easy parking experience. And then separate from that, we will have individual parking structures associated with the offices that we will build, with the retail that we'll build. There is currently on site a card club that we are currently rebuilding. It's one of the 20 card clubs in the state. We are rebuilding that card club. It'll be a brand new card club that opens in August of this year, and it has its own parking structure. That has 1,600 spaces associated with that parking structure. So again, with almost 300 acres, you're able to structure or create open field parkings that will accommodate each individual event. So in theory, if you're coming to shop and you don't want to go to a football game, shame on you, no. You can go to the retail and not worry about necessarily having, parking being impeded because of the number of fans associated with football. This is a rendering. Just give you an example. If you're coming from the Forum, one of the complaints right now, if you've ever go to a Forum event, you try to get up there early to beat traffic. You have one dining option, that's the Sizzler across the street. And that guy will not sell. He's got a gold mine there. And so, you know, you've got 17,000 people crowded in, and you can either eat nachos or hopefully you can get the Sizzlers. So one of the things we've kind of worked with is how to be able to create connectivity, because obviously we'd love to have the impact of that traffic coming from the forum into our facilities. And so that pathway, this is us actually looking from the forum down that walking pathway that will connect you into the sports and entertainment district. And so you could literally go to the forum event, go have dinner, do a little shopping, spend a little money with us, and then go back to your show. And so that's the idea of creating a connectivity. This is just a friendly rendering for our neighbors next door. That's the existing Renaissance property that sits amongst the trees there. And this was a slide that I used primarily when I was getting through the entitlement portions of it to say, hey, we're going to build a street for you. They needed a street that emptied out into their, from their community. They had only one way in and one way out. We're going to augment that through a gate in the back. We're going to add that amenity to you. The parking lots will separate you from the facility itself, and the profile of that building is not going to create shadow effects or anything over your building. You're going to have a beautiful, architecturally smart building that has a low profile that doesn't overly impede the existing experience there. Our south precinct, this is where the retail district is, and again, that's where we were talking about a little bit earlier about 890,000 square feet of retail. Again, that open air experience that leads you right directly into that central hub, Lake Park, and that surrounds you on either side for the hotel, and then towards the western part of the lot is where our office district will be. And offices, you know, luckily for us, we have a built-in client, the NFL, and we fully expect all of their related entities to be located in that office space. So pretty much day one, 2019 is our target date to have the stadium open. We plan to have at least half of that office space open to accommodate all the NFL needs, and then about half of the retail open as well, so that you would have a fan experience day one. It's pretty aggressive. I sweat bullets on that notion, but that's what our charge is. It's the rendering of the retail, again, kind of showing one of the hotels looking into Lake Plaza, looking over into the stadium, and looking back into the office that kind of sits behind that retail frontage there. One of the unique things about this stadium is that it's covered by this roof, and everybody asks, well, why do you have to put a roof on it? The weather's great, and you know, Levi Stadium doesn't have a roof. Why do you guys you have great weather? Well, the idea is to create more than 10 event dates. The idea is that with a roof, we would be able to do a number of filming events. We would be able to do a number of convention-related events associated with it. And so that roof stretches not only the stadium itself, but it stretches over the entertainment performance venue. So it creates that 2.1 acre plaza in the middle of it. So from combine to whatever type of show that may not be able to book downtown at the convention center, we would be able to accommodate that. Anything from soccer to tennis, to be able to scale that building down and to be able to film just about all of it, so that you wouldn't have to be impeded by the possibility of any weather. That's the idea behind that plaza. The other thing too is that roof is a substance called ETFE. It's stronger than glass, but it's a plastic polymer sort of substance that's see-through. But at night, when you fly over that facility, it will light up with whoever's naming rights is on that roof, and it could change like a billboard. So you can imagine with the number of. So the first thing coming to LA you will see is an NFL experience when you land into LAX, and we have slides of the number of international flights that come over. We're going to take advantage of that. So the naming rights guys just can't wait to get that going. And that's the overall project. It's designed to be a international and regional impact for the most part. Thank you.
The Orange County Forum is brought to you through the generous support of the Orange County Register and our sustaining partners. For more information about the Orange County Forum, call 949-588-9884. The Orange County Forum is a nonprofit organization. Your contributions are tax deductible.